Thank you, Rachel, and thanks to the CTU as well for supporting this rally. I just want to start with my own life. Being born close to the border in the north of Ireland and feeling racism and discrimination, not because of my skin colour. I stand before you as a white Caucasian Pakeha, but this system that wants to divide us is so evil that it will find a way to divide you even if you fill all of their racial boxes, and they'll find a way to split the working class. In my country, it was to split us into Catholic and Protestant. And we are a colonised people. We're the oldest colony that Britain had. And I always find a connection with my Maori brothers and sisters, this being the last colony that they colonised. One day we will both be free from this rotten Anglo-capitalist system that was introduced into our countries that divided us. And 800 years later, we're still occupied by them in the north of Ireland. We still struggle as second-class citizens. When my comrade from Finn spoke, I want to tell you, one of the two of the heroes that my mum and dad had in the late 60s when they started marching for civil rights were Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, both who were Muslim people who stood up against racism in the United States. And far, far, far across the ocean in Ireland, you know, white Catholic people been treated as second class, took inspiration from the examples of people like Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X and standing up to imperialist war, if it was in Vietnam, or to police racism, way ahead of Black Lives Matter, now a great movement in the States. But in the 60s, you know, we saw the price that Malcolm X paid for his stand, and yet that was, these were the examples that got people in Northern Ireland marching out against racism and discrimination. So I want to tautoko the Muslim people here, because the Islamophobia that you face from these fascists is the same stuff that we faced in Northern Ireland, the same evil discrimination based not on skin colour but on belief. And I am an atheist myself, but I will defend to the last drop of blood anybody's right to worship in peace what they want. But these people who are coming here, they're not just Islamophobes. They don't just hate Muslims, right? And the word fascist is being used, but I think that word is very, very specific, and it's important that people understand what it means. When the fascists came to power in Germany, does anybody know who the first people were in the concentration camps? The Jews? No. No. It was people like me and Rachel. The first people in the camps were trade unionists. The first thing that they banned on day one when Hitler took power were trade unions. And I think there's a reason why. Number one, the fascists want to stop unity between people. They want to divide people. If you look what's written on my T-shirt, what does it say? It says unite. It says union. We want people to come together. That's why we've put the effort to get so many different groups into this hole. But they want to divide people, and the first thing that they need to smash is our biggest organizations of multicultural unity in any country, which are unions. And if you look around at some of the people from unions here, I see my friend Joanna, a proud Maori nurse. I see Sela, you know, a proud Pacific Island nurse. So many people who are on the picket lines, who are on the struggles, who are fighting in this country for economic freedom for our class, come from so many different backgrounds. That is the great richness of our movement in Aotearoa, of the union movement, is that practically together we are fighting for better wages. We are fighting for housing. We are fighting not each other, but together against the real enemy. And let me tell you who the real enemy is. The real enemy is not each other. The real enemy is the tiny amount of ruling class people in this world, what we called in Occupy the 1%. And that 1% are people like Don Brash. And Don Brash is bankrolling these fascists coming to this country to try and divide us. right? Now, there is something else happening in New Zealand. As well as them trying to bring these hit speakers like the Canadians, or now I see Nigel Farage is supposed to come to Sky City September the 2nd, the workers that I unionise in Sky City will have something to say about that, I'll tell you that. And then I hear that they're trying to bring Pauline Hanson, right, from One Nation, Australia. That dog of a person, that filth of a person, right? They're trying to bring, someone is trying to bring these races here, and there's a reason why. I tell you, they're trying to fill the vacuum. They're trying to create a new party. And it's the same thing that we saw with Trump in America, or what we've seen since Brexit in England, or indeed in continental Europe, where we said never again, and now we see people like Le Pen and the fascists in France getting 15-20% of the vote. There is an agenda here, and it is the 1%, the rich in this country, are terrified of our unity, therefore they want to create a far-right party to divide our class and to get into us. And we are ready for you, because actually we are coming for you. What is the antidote to this hatred? What is the answer to right-wing racism? I'll tell you what, you see it on the picket line with the nurses. Black, white, gay, straight, male, female, all together in the union, fighting for our class, fighting for a better Aotearoa. That is the answer, and that is why it is so important that at the centre of this coalition, you find the unions, you find the nurses, you find the fast food workers, you find the cinema workers, you find First Union over here in the warehouses. Right? We find Aotearoa here in Sistema factory where they're running a big sweatshop. Stand up, Sonny Segal. Sonny's going to lead a strike against that kind of economic slavery, that economic racism that's at the centre of our country. And so I think that this campaign needs to focus. Don't just make this a flash in the pan for the next 2 weeks about these two clickbait YouTube Nazis. There's something deeper going on. Someone wants to fill that Trump or Brexit far-right populist vacuum in this country. I'm calling it. It's Hobson Pledge. It's Don Brash. He's a washed-up has-been of a right-winger, but he thinks he can get 5 or 6% around this, right? And unfortunately, that may be all that they need. National might be looking for a partner. And they might be looking to dally with the far right to get in the next time. So comrades, this is serious, yeah? Let's get organised. Let's get into these people. Let's fight them. Black and white together, we are dynamite.